Key takeaways. 1. Changing just one letter can completely alter the meaning of a word. 2. Some words belong to different parts of speech. Example: suit is a noun, while quit is a verb. 3. Some words are homophones with other words, but have different spellings. Example: sight versus sight, not in the quiz, but related. 4. Learning these pairs helps expand vocabulary and improve spelling awareness. 5. Many of these words have historical or linguistic origins that make them interesting.
Word pair explanations and interesting facts. 1. Wand versus land. Wand, a thin stick used by wizards or magicians. Interesting fact, in some cultures, wands were believed to have magical powers. Land, the solid part of Earth's surface. Interesting fact, the word land comes from Old English and is one of the oldest words in the language.
2. 5 versus dive. 5. The number 5. Interesting fact, the Roman numeral for 5 is V, derived from a hand's 5 fingers. Dive, to jump into water. Interesting fact, the word dive also means to go deep, as in dive into a topic.
3. Task versus mask. Task, a piece of work that needs to be done. Interesting fact, the word originates from Latin taxa, meaning to evaluate or handle. Mask, a covering for the face. Interesting fact, masks have been used for thousands of years in rituals, theatre, and protection.
4. Site versus bite. Site, a location or place. Interesting fact, a website is a digital site on the internet. Bite, to use teeth to cut into something. Interesting fact, some animals have venomous bites, example, snakes.
5. Clam versus slam. Clam, a type of shellfish. Interesting fact, happy as a clam comes from the idea that clams look like they are smiling. Slam, to close something forcefully. Interesting fact, the term slam dunk comes from basketball.
6. Khan versus then. Khan, a historical title for rulers, especially in Mongolia. Interesting fact, Genghis Khan was one of the most famous leaders in history. Then, used for comparisons. Interesting fact, then comes from Old English than.
7. Same versus game. Same, identical or not different. Interesting fact, the phrase same old means something repetitive. Game, a form of play or competition. Interesting fact, the Olympic Games originated in ancient Greece.
8. Neat versus beat. Neat, organized and tidy. Interesting fact, in bartending, Neat means a drink served without ice. Beat, to win or strike repeatedly. Interesting fact, beat is used in music to describe rhythm.
9. Tied versus tied. Tied, bound or fastened. Interesting fact, tied the knot means getting married. Tide, the rise and fall of sea levels. Interesting fact, the moon's gravity affects ocean tides.
10. Suit versus quit. Suit, a set of formal clothes or something appropriate. Interesting fact, in playing cards, suits refer to hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. Quit, to stop doing something. Interesting fact, cold turkey means quitting something suddenly.
11. Pave versus cave. Pave, to lay down a solid surface. Interesting fact, pave the way means to make something easier for others. Cave, a hollow space or to give in. Interesting fact, the world's largest cave is Sun Dong in Vietnam.
12. Bake versus lake. Bake, to cook in an oven. Interesting fact, the word bake comes from Old English bacon. Lake, a large body of water. Interesting fact, the Great Lakes hold about 20% of the world's freshwater.